Salute, folks. You know who it is. You know what to do. It's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor Alonzo, your social media insurance bro and registered financial consultant. Back again today to whap and tap on your head with another Adhwealthsolutions article. Today's article is from Yahoo Finance, and this is really important because people who don't know how to use AI or Google will think that because they did a Google search and searched the first 10 results, not the first 10 pages, but the first top 10 results, or typed something into AI, that they're going to get a proper result or that the result comes back extremely flawed. The result is based on what you put into it. Just like if someone who watches basketball tries to execute a play, it's going to be very different than, say, Michael Jordan, who is an expert at basketball, tries to execute a play. Before I continue, make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. So, let's continue. So it says, I asked ChatGPT to plan a $100,000 a year retirement. Then I had a financial planner review it. So, people use artificial intelligence for many things: meal planning, budgeting, and interior design. But can you use a platform like ChatGPT for tasks that normally require a professional, like financial planning? Well, I chose a hypothetical scenario and asked ChatGPT to construct a retirement plan that would allow a retiree to live on $100,000 a year. I assumed an annual income of $125,000 for a 40-year-old who wants to retire in a fully paid-off home in Tennessee at age 65. After setting the parameters and asking ChatGPT if they were realistic, I asked the generative AI to create a retirement plan. Then, I asked Eric Franklin, CFP Managing Principal at Prospero Wealth, to review and assess it, what the financial planner had to say. When I first reached out, Franklin said it sounded interesting. He'd never been enlisted to create an AI system, but critique an AI system before. With 23 years of tech experience, he was the perfect choice. I had no idea what I was going to get, he said. The results were alarming. Not because ChatGPT's output was immediately obviously awful or right on the money. It was scary because it fell into a gray area that artists call the uncanny valley. At first glance, ChatGPT didn't seem to be completely wrong. I read through, and at first, at the top level, it passed the sniff test. It looked fairly realistic, Franklin said. If I weren't pushing on it too hard, I'd probably feel like it was somewhat accurate. Those were my first impressions. He acknowledged that the plan I presented was only one aspect of what financial advisors at Prospero Wealth offer clients. This is the major thing that there's a debate over, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue. It doesn't include a lot of the things we'd normally do, like stress tests, accounting for changes in your career, changes in your family, or possibly relocations. But as Franklin dove deeper, he realized something that could be dangerous for anyone trying to use ChatGPT as a retirement planning tool without knowledge and experience to back it up. Pause, ladies and gentlemen. I actually had this discussion with someone who was in medical field who, I had to explain to him, listen, if I need to get a surgery on a certain thing and I type in ChatGPT how to do the surgery, because I don't have the experience of the proper terminologies of the surgery and the way that it works, even though I might have a lot of experience going to the doctor or have somebody who's a nurse, it's not the same. Just like you might have a lot of money, you might have some experience day trading in a margin account. It's not the same as a professional. Let's continue. It started with false premises. It failed to adjust for inflation and created an unrealistic scenario. Granted, there were limitations in the exercise because the prompt was designed to be broad and concise. It was written by someone who is not a financial planner and intentionally didn't flag anything that seemed off throughout the process. This prompt was designed for someone who thinks they can use ChatGPT to help them plan for retirement, plugging in basic information and expecting actionable insights that probably describes a lot of people using ChatGPT. But a less than perfect prompt doesn't change the conclusion, which is important for anyone inclined to use AI for financial planning. The math is literally wrong, Franklin said. I passed it around the office and they all said the same thing. Exactly what did ChatGPT get right and wrong? The scenario: age 40, location, moderate cost of living, income 125K, target retirement age 65, time horizon 25 years. What is a time horizon, ladies and gentlemen? Because all these investment or buy term invest the rest, buy crypto and all these invest in my course bullshit people never speak about a time horizon. You see how they said they're age 40 and they want to retire, get access to the money at age 65, meaning their time horizon is 25 years. That's an important thing. Target retirement spending, $100,000 per year, today's dollars. Emergency fund done. Home owned, median price, no modeling or future downsizing or equity use. Current retirement savings, $100,000 in a 401k growing at 6%. The 4% rule ChatGPT used the 4% rule to determine the future retiree would need $2.5 million in today's dollars by age 65, which would last for 30 years if they withdraw $100,000 per year. Expert take. Franklin pointed out that most professionals wouldn't use the 4% withdrawal rule to determine how much someone needs to save for retirement. That was the first red flag. Pause. Ladies and gentlemen, I always say, listen, if they are coming with a $125,000 annual income, you want to look at the lifestyle that they're living today. Are they living a $100,000 lifestyle or below a $100,000 lifestyle? If their income is $125,000, they're likely living below a $100,000 lifestyle. Let's continue. It's actually pretty bad when you look at the real world use case around the 4% rule. It was established in the 90s, I believe, by a researcher who looked at the best withdrawal rate for the worst possible 30 years. You won't outlive your money, he said. However, in 80% of the scenarios Franklin shared, retirees died with a hefty amount of cash in their retirement accounts. That doesn't necessarily sound bad until you realize 80% of the people would underlive their resources and leave a lot on the table in terms of their possible enjoyment for retirement, he explained. More modern techniques are going to look at the way people actually spend in retirement. There are retirement strategies that allow people to start with a lot more happiness rather than austerity. Is $2.5 million enough? ChatGPT's amount of $2.5 million didn't take into account inflation. This could have been the fault of the prompt that left out many details, but a financial planner would understand the reality of the costs in 25 years compared to today's price on historic CPI data. Expert take. When I talk to clients, I want to use future dollars, Franklin said. The client's going to anchor on that $2.5 million, but that $2.5 million is not going to be worth today's $2.5 in the future. Franklin explained that $209,000 in 25 years would have the spending power of $100,000 today. You're going to need something more like $5.2 million, he said. That's where ChatGPT's scenario starts to fall apart. $500,000 missing. Without clarification or prompting, ChatGPT assumed an asset allocation of 80 stocks, 20 bonds at age 40, and a gradual shift to 60-40 by retirement with annual rebalancing. The existing savings of $100,000 at age 30 would grow roughly to $430,000 by 65, which Franklin agreed is close to accurate. Then ChatGPT estimated $2.07 million funded through new contributions. ChatGPT said to reach the remaining $2.07 million over 25 years at 6% real, annual savings needed to be about $26,000, monthly savings about $2,170, and savings rate about 21% of gross income. The expert take? The truth is, the math is just literally wrong in a big way, Franklin said. He acknowledged that many advisors use a 6 to 7% real return assumption, but only for a portfolio made up of 100% equity. 6% is probably a bit ambitious, and that's probably anchored off of historical S&P 500 returns, which is not the diversified approach most advisors would recommend, he said. Franklin ran the numbers on a slightly more realistic scenario, still being overly generous, on a 6.5% return for the equity portion. Franklin used ChatGPT's contribution strategy of 21% of the person's gross income for 25 years, or $21.70 per month. The math still comes out more than $500,000 under. It was significantly off, he said. Baffled as many AI users are when ChatGPT fails at simple tasks a desktop calculator could accomplish, Franklin said, I was a little bit appalled that the simple tasks, it's literally not even calculating the contribution strategy to get close to what it's trying to achieve. This could be due to ChatGPT's penchant to please, making users feel like any task is doable with the right plan, or it could just be bad math. The bottom line, if you think you follow this plan, I think if you follow this plan, you're going to fail mathematically and you'll also fail psychologically, Franklin said. No plan is going to persist unabated for most clients. You're going to have some life changes. ChatGPT failed to factor in any Social Security income, although the AI did say healthcare costs could be partially offset by conservative withdrawal rate and Social Security buffer. Overall, ChatGPT's plan lacked human nuance, intuition, discipline, or lack thereof, or empathy. I don't think it builds in any wiggle room for this client, Franklin said. Even if the math was right, I can't think of a single client at this income level, 125K right now, who could put their head down for 25 years to put away 21% of their income. So that's it for today, folks. Hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.